Yeah. What's up, guys? Day 7,954 of the Capri build. Kevin's here with me. Got a lot done today. A lot of bumps in the road, just sorting out the project and figuring out everything that needs to happen, which way everything needs to lay out to work. But luckily, we were able to jump over the hurdles and get some stuff figured out, and I'll walk you through what that is. So the first thing was, verifying hood clearance and all of that mess. Obviously with the Whipple, which is rested on here now, it's actually ready to go. I just got to bolt it in. I had to attack the cooling system in the tanks. Now, I did have an 03 Cobra radiator and fans, and when I got the radiator out of the box from shipping, it looked like a bulldozer ran it over. So I went with the Mishimoto, the M1 that Summit sells, and that one worked really well. It fell into place. I had put some SN95 brackets tacked into the radiator support down below, so the radiator did sit where it wanted to go, and me and Kevin kind of mocked up the heat exchanger in the front along with the subframe, and we got levels and heights just right so the radiator sits where it wants to. But putting the radiator where I did and mounting it where I did also allowed me to drop these tanks individually about 2 inches lower than what they would have usually been, which helped the front of this Capri hood to close and give it tons of room. I did shoot them with some chassis roll bar paint and made a bracket here, and we figured out a way, Kevin figured out a way to tie in the top radiator mounts to the bracket that I made, so everything will be contained tight there, and that's going to work out quite well. Fortunately for us, we didn't have a problem with the coolant tank hoses. That all lined up, and all the hoses in the radiator with some reworking, twisting, and tightening in a different way, they all seem to line up to the radiator. So our cooling system, for the most part, is sealed up. We could actually pour coolant in this right now if we wanted to, but we're not gonna. Canton came through with a really cool wrinkle finish power steering reservoir. I was gonna put the stock one on, but me and my gorilla hand snapped both of the ports off the bottom of it, trying to take the hoses off. So I said, well, I gotta buy a Canton one now. So I got that one mounted. It took a little bit of modification because with any aftermarket part, nothing falls into place. So that is, the power steering section is also sealed off. So we should be able to add fluid to this and chase down some leaks, if any. Moving on to the intercooler setup. As you can see, the supercharger lower intake sports that, and we have the intake siliconed and red Loctite into the bottom of the Whipple so it doesn't fall off and the motor sucks in a little tiny M4 bolt. But the lines are going to be a little tricky here, trying to get all that to mate up. One of the lines works out perfect, so that's going to be great for us. And the other one we're going to have to make with a couple of S's in it. We're going to feed out through the factory 03 Cobra lines here and make our attachments behind the radiator where the heat exchanger lays. We did a triple pass AFCO heat exchanger, and that worked out pretty well. The Whipple is on. All the attachments were made. All the appointments it needed. We really wanted to make some headway today and get somewhere to get a visual of how everything's going to mate up and work. And we put the blower together, like I said, with the heat exchanger, the intercooler underneath, and the lower intake. I cleaned a set of injectors. I think I'm going with a set of Siemens 60s for now. But we were able to clean the injectors and get those sorted. That worked quite well. We rewired the 3-bar map sensor. The Holly kit comes with a 1-bar, but for the boost application that we're using, we needed a 3-bar, so we just had to repin the connector and get that to work. As far as all of our wiring, everything is loomed from Holly, so once we get our final destination for the wiring, we'll be able to zip tie that and make it look neat, make it look somewhat presentable. There's a lot of shit going on here. It's like 20 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, but everything's working. Everything's hidden, and everything's black too. Big fan of that. We ended up using the Foxbody grommet here to just facilitate everything through the firewall and make it look clean as possible. But there are no obstructions, heater core hoses, nothing is hitting the back of the blower, and there is actually about an inch more room. There's some wiring back there and stuff, but there is a lot of room with the Whipple, so I'm surprised. The hood will not close. I'm not even gonna try it. I'm not even gonna show you guys. It's just, we're gonna have to figure something out with that. But I knew that going into it, so it's okay. These two relays here, we're gonna use the Holly to trip the fans and trip the intercooler pump. Luckily, the Holly has ins and outs for ground power, pulse width, whatever you want. I chose ground to take the least amount of load off the circuit. So it's just sending a ground signal to the relay at the commanded point, whether it be temperature or RPM. And these relays will be all neatened up, and they will control the cooling fan and the intercooler pump. And with the inlet in there, you can get an idea of how clean everything is going to look. Yeah, that's as big as it looks on camera. Giant filter, big throttle body. Trying to just get a lot of air in there, a lot of air out, but it looks pretty dope. Let's go into the inside of the car and check that out. So Kev went like a madman today and got the Dakota Digital setup working. What's your first impressions on that stuff?
It was simple, actually. It was really nice. You can see some of it in there.
And behind it is that power distribution box, which basically receives all the signals and then translates it or displays it onto the Dakota Digital. Is the battery still hooked up?
Yeah, it should be.
Hit the key. Directionals? Nice. High beam?
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. And we also chased down a lot of the wiring in this car. Now, don't forget, this car has been a hodgepodge of stuff. 85 dash, the car is an 84. I converted it to fuel injection with a complete 86 harness. So we've been chasing down to make some things work. But as of right now, we have all the lights sorted and all of the functions. Blower motor works. As you can see, the glove box isn't latched, so that light's on. MGW shifters installed, center console's in there. I got the armrest at home. And boom, we got the Holly laid out. Rough version right now, nothing perfect. The wires are pretty much run to length. They're just not snipped and finished up yet because I just didn't want to run into a problem trying to chase it down after I put everything away neat. But we do have communication with the Holly. I was able to update the firmware and flash the computer and also view some of the sensors that I had plugged in, so I know I have communications. So that is good. And I can't stress enough how easy some of the Holly stuff really is when you get it all, wired up the proper way. And for you guys, I've read a lot of mixed things about guys wiring up the Holly to like a starter solenoid post. I've done a Sniper and I've done a couple other Holly setups, and even Haltech. I do a lot of Haltech wiring, and it's imperative that you go to the battery or the battery cable post. It takes out a lot of noise interference, and it keeps everything clean, and the computer performs at its best like that. Oh yeah, some 3-inch tips. I also got the exhaust handled. Now, I'm not going to put the car up right now because I want to get the hell out of here. But American Racing 1 7/8 long tubes, 3-inch X-pipe, 3-inch flow tubes, 3-inch Magnaflow offset, and 3-inch Flowmasters on the tips. Hopefully it's going to have a nice, deep, quiet tone, but I will show you guys some pics and video of the exhaust in the next video. But we don't really have a lot left as far as a punch list. I'll go over that with you right now if you guys are interested, and we'll see what we got left on this project. Things are really starting to move. My deadline is April 1st, and I hate to say the word deadline involving April Fools, but, got to flirt with it a little bit. So yeah, let's talk about what we got left for this project, and hopefully we can fire it up soon. I'm excited. Blower looks diesel on there. Looks huge. So when you have your buddies come help you, they make a mess and then they leave your tools everywhere. So I got Kevin picking up all the tools now. But the only things that really left is we made a quick list here. This is what we started with. This is where we finished. I want to mount the Holly in a respectable spot, probably up near where the computer would have went beforehand. Now the car is an 84. It wasn't fuel injected, but it still had the cutout there for the TBI injection and all that if they put a 6-cylinder in it, So we're going to get that probably mounted up in there and just secure all of that wiring. I have to send a single 10-gauge wire back to kick the fuel pump on. Holly is nice enough to supply you with a fuel pump trip wire in their HP. So we're going to handle the relay wiring right there at the kick panel and then just have one wire going back to the fuel pump instead of 3 or 4. It's not really needed. I'm going to bolt the intake down. There's just some little things I want to go over. tighten the intake down, and get at those bolts. If anybody's done a Whipple before, you know how hard it is to get some of those back bolts under that inlet itself. So I'm going to spend some time getting that done. We're going to mount those radiator brackets that we made, because we don't go too hard over here. Everything is 3/4 of the way done. But you get a bunch of 3/4 of the way done, and then the last day is usually you only have to work 1/4 the amount. So we're going to get those radiator brackets mounted. I need a coolant, an intercooler reservoir cap. I want to go over all of the hoses, especially the intercooler hoses. I got to make those. And top off all the fluids, including the blower, the supercharger oil, the power steering, coolant, engine oil. And check the Holley out and make sure we're communicating with everything. And then we're gonna hit the loud button and see what happens. I'm really nervous, but I have a lot of faith. It's my own stuff, so I'm expecting something to fail, and that's okay, because it usually does. But I do this stuff for a living, and you know, I have no problem sliding a camshaft out of a 2015, nothing. But when it comes to my own stuff, I just panic. But hopefully with your love and support, it'll fire up. I'm just super excited. I can't wait. So with the intercooler hoses, right, you know, we're modifying this, and we're going to have bends, and we have to fit in places or go around places that we really shouldn't. And Kevin, being in the marine field, he had a great idea. They talk about that hose a little bit.
It's just wire reinforced. It's good stuff for tight bends. So here's the silicone hose. And you can see it doesn't bend tight. This stuff's pretty good. It won't kink.
Wow, that'll go right around that radiator support pretty sweet.
Yeah, so it should work pretty good.
And we got enough of that. We got a ton of that, so that's going to work out really well. And then Kevin was nice enough to take the steering shaft that's haunted me in my dreams, and what was the end? This end of the steering shaft was fighting me just enough to drive me crazy. So he took it to his milling machine, and he brought that down. So hopefully the bolt will now clear the header. That's the only thing that was touching. The head of the bolt was nicking the headers. Those 1 7/8. I wanted 1 3/4, but you know, bigger is better, I guess. At least that's what it says in my underwear. Again, I know I don't cover everything, and I know a lot of you guys have already seen this done, and you don't need to see me talk about it over and over again. But it's just different stages of the project. As things go on, I do a bunch of stuff, and then I document it. And I do a bunch of stuff, and I document it. And that seems to be... Can you make all the noise while I'm over here filming?
Yeah, a little more. Okay.
That just seems to be the way it's worked. And everything's, you know, there's no pressure here. Like I said, I just want to get it fired up and out of my boss's shop by a certain time. But it's going really well, and I'm super stoked. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. All the new subscribers, it's really great. You guys can check me out on Instagram at 401 Foxbody. I do a lot of Capri stuff. I love the Mustangs as well, but I'm a sucker for Capris, and I got a bunch of them. I got a handful of them, and you know, hopefully can feature them all on here at some point. But yeah, man, this project's still rolling. I'm hoping to get it fired up, hoping to get the fluids in it, make some great oil pressure, and maybe hit the dyno, walk through some tuning. I don't even know. I'm just hoping it runs, and I think it should. I'm really excited. But we'll talk soon, guys. Thanks to Kev. And what do we got coming up with your truck? Kevin had that Dodge D100 that we did the original sniper video on. Actually, if you want to check that out, I'll put a link right up here. You guys can go check the sniper install on Kevin's truck. But we got some stuff coming up with that. I think we're going to do...
The shift. They're going to make a shift, right?
Tranny mods.
Yeah.
We're going to do some race seats because there's tons of room in there, and nobody likes a bench seat. And then, cam install.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do a cam in that and try to get a little more top end out of that. But look forward to that. It's a Mustang-generated YouTube page, and I like to mess with these. But it's my buddy's truck, and we have a lot of fun doing this stuff. And, you know, most of the times it's just us making fun of each other, and that's what makes it even more fun. He hurts my feelings, and I just take it. So, you know, he doesn't have any feelings because he's got blonde hair and blue eyes.
That's what it is.
You know what I mean? But if anybody wants to donate to Kevin, Kevin's got ankle down diabetes. So if anybody wants to donate to his GoFundMe. Oh, I love my friends. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Stay tuned. Be sure to check the channel for the next video. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your mama. Tell your pa. Tell your back. We'll talk soon. Peace.